It's 1993. I am on a road trip in South Dakota with my very best friend Larry, who is the most beautiful and capable woman I have ever met in my life. I met her on the very first night of my very first job in Chicago bartending. Chicago, we're everywhere. And she does not have a driver's license, I do. So the way we do this is we drive until I get tired, and then we pull over and stop someplace for the night. And we're about 3/4 of the way through our trip. And we wind up in south of Rapid City going towards Wounded Knee, the battlefield where in the 1800s, the American militia massacred 300 Lakota men, women, and children. And we get out, and I look out at the battlefield, and it's lush, and it's beautiful, springtime. And I can't help thinking, like, this land is just fed by the blood of these people. And it's devastating. And we leave, and neither one of us can really talk. It's just like this powerful, intense experience. And I'm like, I can't go back up to the highway. I can't go up to the interstate. So I take this 2-lane highway headed east, because we're headed towards home by now. And we just keep driving, and we're driving across the plains, and the sun is setting. And we're quiet, and we're lost in our thoughts. And we drive and drive and drive. And we pass this sign for a little town that says, "Welcome to Winter." And I think that's a riot. And Larry does not. Then a couple minutes later, we pass a motel called the Warrior Inn. And I really think this is a riot. And I'm like, Larry, we gotta stay there. And she's like, I don't think so. And I look, and it's like kitsch, like ramped up 700%. And I'm like, oh man, it says there's an attached bar. It's like neon sign and appropriated Native American head. It's just like out of control. And I'm like, we gotta stay there. And she's like, no, she doesn't have a driver's license, I do. So we pull into the parking lot and walk in. And I'm like, there's nobody there. It's dark and kind of dingy, and it's just a desk, and I'm about to turn around and walk out, and this guy gets up from the bar and says, "You girls need a room?" And I say, yeah, and there's shit. And we pull the car around, park, get into our room. It's just a regular, dingy 50s motel room. And Larry's on the phone with her boyfriend going, Amy is making me stay at this scary little motel, and I don't want to be here, and it's creepy, and you got one door that like leads to the parking lot, and there's another door, Ken. There's another door that leads to this hallway that's got this creepy, long, dingy hallway that goes to the creepy bar down the hall, and it's freaking me out, and I'm like, hang up the phone, and we're going down the creepy-ass hallway to get a drink. So she hangs up the phone, and we walk down the creepy-ass hallway to get a drink, and she's right. It's the most depressing place ever. And as we're sitting there, there's like 2 guys there. We don't notice any women, I notice in retrospect. We go back to our room, turn out the lights, crash. Phone rings. I wake up, it's pitch black. I wake up, answer the phone, and this guy says something to me on the phone, and I say, oh man, I'm sorry. You got the wrong room. And very clearly he says to me, oh no, I don't. And I'm wide awake now. And Larry's awake, and I look at the clock, it's 3 a.m. And I hang up the phone and look at her and tell her what just happened, and we don't know what to do. Like, is somebody fooling around? Is somebody really out to get us? And we go back and forth, and we're so tired. We're so tired, and we're starting to fall asleep, and we can't figure out what to do. And I start to realize if I fall asleep, I am not sure that when I wake up, I'm gonna wanna know what's going on. So I rally and I go, we gotta go. And she goes, okay. And we get all our stuff together, and we pack it all up. And then we realize, what are we gonna do about checking out? And she goes, I got it. And she gets a piece of paper and she goes, writes a note and says, sorry, we had to leave. And she leaves it on the bedside note. And then we get by the door, pack up everything, and we've planned it out. Because this is 1993. You cannot click your keys. You have to go up to the car door and unlock the trunk, each door, passenger, side door, everything. We figured out who's going to put stuff where, how we're going to get in the car and get out of there as fast. We're too scared to even open the curtain and look and see who's out there. So we've got this worked out. We've got a plan. And I look at her, and she looks at me, and all of a sudden I say, Lara, if there's anybody out there, the most appropriate response is anger. And she goes, anger. And we open the door, we fly out, we tear out of the parking lot, dust flying everywhere, and in my rearview mirror, I can see there is a car at a payphone, a drive-up payphone with its lights on and it's idling, just sitting there at 3 in the morning. And I drive as fast as I can, and I keep waiting and waiting and waiting for those headlights to show up in my rearview mirror, and I drive and I drive and I drive and I drive. 3 months later, I'm at work, and the new cocktail waitress is from Rapid City, and I'm like, oh, I was just on a road trip to South Dakota. And she says, oh, really? And I said, yeah, we stopped at this little town called Winter. And she goes, Winter? That's a carny town. People go through there and nobody knows who they are. In the springtime, bodies show up. And I tell her the story. She hoists her drink tray and she starts to walk away, and she turns around and she looks at me and goes, you did the right thing getting out of there. You did the right thing. So Larry and I have been friends for 28 years. And 3 years ago, she called me to say, I've got cancer. And it's currently stage 4 cancer. And as I'm telling you this story tonight, she's on a road trip. And in South Dakota, right now, with her 19-year-old daughter, as I speak to you. And this is probably her last epic road trip. And she has faced her diagnosis with dignity and capability and grace and humor and all of the things, because she's still the most beautiful and capable woman I know. And I know she's going to face whatever comes her way that way. But what I don't know is how I'm going to face losing her with the courage I'm going to need.